Every day you are being tested, not by people, but by your reactions. You lose peace every time you explain yourself, chase approval, or take offense. The world wants you reactive, loud, emotional, desperate to prove something. But the disciplined remain still. They respond, they don't react. This is the power of being unbothered, a state where no insult, no rejection, no chaos can shake your focus. In this audiobook, you will learn how to build that strength, the quiet discipline that keeps you calm when everyone else is breaking. Chapter 1. Control what you can, ignore what you can't. Every day, life presents you with two kinds of challenges, the ones you can control and the ones you can't. Most people spend their lives confusing the two. They fight battles they were never meant to win. They argue with what's already happened. They exhaust themselves reacting to forces they can't move. But the disciplined, they move differently. They don't waste emotion on what's outside their control. They don't fight the storm. They adjust their sails. Because control is power, and discipline is knowing where to place it. The trap of reaction. You lose energy every time you react to what you can't control. Traffic, rumors, delays, other people's opinions. These are traps, invisible energy drains that weaken your focus and scatter your discipline. The truth is simple. The world doesn't owe you order. You owe yourself composure. You can't control the external world, but you can control your internal response. That's what separates the reactive from the powerful. Say this to yourself often. Control my response. Release the rest. Make it your daily armor. When you feel your heart race or your temper rise, remember, control is not about suppression. It's about redirection. You're not ignoring reality. You're mastering how you move through it. The illusion of control. You will meet people who believe control means forcing outcomes, forcing others to agree, to obey, to submit. But that's not control. That's desperation dressed as dominance. True control is quiet. It's invisible. It's internal. It's the steady breath when others panic. It's the calm tone in a heated argument. It's the refusal to be pulled into chaos. Powerful people don't chase control. They maintain it. They let the world spin while they stand still at the center. That's emotional intelligence in motion. That's mental toughness disguised as stillness. The energy equation. Every day, you wake up with a limited supply of mental energy. You spend it through choices, attention, emotion, focus. Most people spend it carelessly. They react to everything. Every comment, every inconvenience, every person who doesn't understand them. By noon, they're drained, not from work, but from emotional waste. They've spent all their energy defending their ego. The disciplined operate differently. They treat energy like currency. They ask, is this worth my reaction? Before they spend it. And most of the time, it's not. The unbothered mind saves its energy for what matters. Action, purpose, growth. Everything else is background noise. Letting go of the need to fix everything. You can't fix people who enjoy being broken. You can't save everyone. You can't stop every storm. The disciplined don't try to control outcomes. They control effort. They pour their full energy into what they can influence. Their habits, their mindset, their work ethic. And then they release the rest. There's freedom in that release. A peace that only comes when you stop wrestling with what you can't command. It's not weakness. It's wisdom. You stop trying to dominate the uncontrollable and instead dominate yourself. Real power is inner stillness. The strongest people are not loud. They're composed. They don't explain their calmness. They don't justify their silence. They simply understand this truth. Chaos feeds on attention. When you stop feeding it, it dies. A calm mind is not a gift. It's a skill. It's earned through restraint, repetition, and daily awareness. You build it every time you choose patience over reaction. Every time you choose observation over argument. Every time you remind yourself, this moment does not deserve my peace. That's mastery. That's control. That's the discipline to stay unbothered. Anchoring practice, the Stoic reset. Here's your daily drill. The discipline anchor for this chapter. 3 times a day, pause and ask yourself 3 questions. Is this within my control? Is my reaction helping or harming me? Will this matter in 1 week? If the answer is no, you release it immediately. That's your mental training. That's how you build composure like muscle, through constant awareness, small corrections, and daily restraint. You can't control outcomes, but you can control preparation. You can't control others, but you can control your response. And the one who controls their response always controls the room. Closing reflection for Chapter 1. The undisciplined chase control over everything. The disciplined, perfect control over self. Mastering your reactions is not about becoming emotionless. It's about becoming emotionally intelligent. You stop reacting out of impulse and start responding out of purpose. That's the beginning of power. From now on, repeat this to yourself when life gets loud. Control my effort. Release the rest. That's how you stay focused. That's how you stay balanced. That's how you stay unbothered. Chapter 2. Stop explaining yourself. Slow, deliberate tone. The voice commands attention without emotion. You owe no explanations for the life you choose to build. The need to explain is the need to be understood. And the need to be understood is the fastest way to lose your power. When you constantly justify your actions, your boundaries, your silence, you hand your authority to others. You tell them that their approval defines your peace. But discipline means living by principle, not permission. The unbothered don't explain, they execute. They let results clarify what words never could. The trap of justification. Most people are addicted to explaining. They explain to avoid judgment. They explain to seem agreeable. They explain because silence feels uncomfortable. But every explanation is an energy leak. You trade peace for perception. You trade progress for approval. You don't owe anyone a press release for your boundaries. You don't need to make people comfortable with your decisions. Because comfort is not your mission, clarity is. And clarity often sounds like silence. Power doesn't defend itself. Think about it. Does a lion explain why it hunts? Does a mountain explain why it stands unmoved through the storm? Power doesn't explain. Power simply is. When you feel the urge to defend yourself, pause. Ask, who am I trying to convince? Them or myself? People who live with purpose don't argue with misunderstanding. They understand that truth does not need to be loud. Truth reveals itself through consistency, not conversation. Every time you explain, you water down your conviction. You show doubt in what should be certainty. And doubt is expensive. It costs you focus. The weakness of needing to be understood. Understand this clearly. You don't need to be understood to be effective. You don't need validation to be valuable. When you chase understanding, you position yourself as a performer in someone else's audience. You trade authenticity for applause. But the disciplined, they operate in silence. They're misunderstood on purpose. Because they know the ones who misunderstand today will eventually study tomorrow. So let them doubt. Let them question. Let them whisper. Your job isn't to explain. Your job is to become undeniable. How silence becomes strength. Silence is not weakness. Silence is selection, the decision to conserve energy for execution. The world wants you reactive, emotional, easily provoked. Because a calm person is unpredictable, and unpredictability is power. Every time you remain silent when you're expected to react, you win. You disarm gossip. You frustrate manipulators. You confuse critics. Your silence forces them to confront themselves. They expected noise. They found composure. That's the highest form of control. Repeat this to yourself. Silence is not avoidance. Silence is precision. Real-world proof, the discipline of non-response. The strongest leaders don't chase approval. They deliver outcomes. They let performance speak for them. Look at the greats in business, in sport, in art. The ones who rise aren't the ones constantly talking. They're the ones too busy building to defend their name. They know that time silences critics better than argument ever could, because results in conversations that words can't. So the next time you feel tempted to explain, ask yourself, would this energy be better spent proving or producing? 9 times out of 10, the answer is producing. The ego's addiction to explanation. Your ego hates to be misunderstood. It craves recognition. It wants everyone to see your side, your struggle, your story. But the disciplined ego is trained. It doesn't need the world to see its effort. It needs only to see its progress. Understand this. Validation is the diet of the undisciplined. Stillness is the diet of the strong. The less you explain, the more mysterious you become. The more mysterious you become, the more authority you command. Because people respect what they can't fully read. Anchoring practice, the rule of 3. When the urge to explain rises, practice the rule of 3. Pause. Don't rush to fill silence. It's where control begins. Evaluate. Ask, does this explanation serve progress or ego? Choose. If it's ego, stay silent. If it's progress, act. Every time you choose silence, you strengthen your discipline. Every time you hold your peace, you build internal armor. Your silence is not emptiness, it's strategy. It's how you protect your power from unnecessary exposure. Closing reflection for Chapter 2. Stop explaining yourself. Stop trying to make sense to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Your life doesn't need commentary. It needs consistency. Say less. Do more. Detach from a need to be seen and become someone impossible to ignore. From this point forward, remember, silence builds value. Validation dilutes it. Don't defend your discipline. Demonstrate it. Because the moment you stop explaining, you start evolving. Chapter 3. The power of emotional delay. Every mistake made in emotion is paid for in regret. Every word said in anger becomes a weapon turned against you later. And every impulsive reaction weakens the power you could have kept in silence. This is why discipline demands delay. Because emotion is temporary, but consequence is permanent. The one who can delay emotion, who can sit in the fire without flinching, becomes untouchable. That is emotional mastery. That is control. The 10-second rule of power. When emotion rises, logic disappears. The brain floods with impulse, not insight. And most people live their entire lives trapped in that first reaction, slaves to the moment. But here's the shift. You don't have to obey your emotions immediately. You can pause. You can wait. You can delay. That delay, even 10 seconds, is where power begins. Because in those 10 seconds, you reclaim your authority. You give your mind time to filter emotion through reason. You give your peace a chance to survive. The disciplined don't rush to respond. They breathe. They observe. They calculate. They understand that silence in the moment of anger is strategy, not weakness. Repeat this phrase. Pause. Breathe. Respond. Never react. Emotional delay is strength, not suppression. Understand this clearly. Emotional delay doesn't mean emotional denial. You're not pretending not to feel. You're choosing not to be controlled by what you feel. Anger, disappointment, frustration, they all come. They're part of being human. But discipline means you don't let temporary feelings create permanent damage. You train your emotions like a soldier trains their weapon. You handle it with care, or it can destroy you. That's what emotional delay is, handling power responsibly. How the undisciplined destroy themselves. Look around you. You'll see people losing opportunities, relationships, and respect. Not because they weren't capable, but because they weren't composed. They reacted too soon. They sent the message they shouldn't have. They said the words they couldn't take back. And afterward, they'll always say the same thing. I didn't mean it. But in life, meaning doesn't erase damage. Control does. The disciplined don't say, I didn't mean it. They say nothing until they do. That's power. That's poise. That's maturity. Real-world example. The calm negotiator. In high-stakes environments, business, war, leadership, the one who speaks first usually loses leverage. Because emotion makes you predictable. Delay makes you unreadable. Think of the calm negotiator who doesn't react to the offer, doesn't show anger, doesn't rush to fill silence. They watch. They wait. And while the other person burns through emotional energy, they conserve it. That's the advantage of delay. It keeps you strategic when everyone else becomes impulsive. The same applies to life. When someone disrespects you, delay your reaction. When you face setback, delay your complaint. When you feel fear, delay your retreat. You'll be shocked how often the emotion passes and clarity takes its place. The chemistry of calm. Emotion is a chemical storm. Anger spikes adrenaline. Anxiety spikes cortisol. And both block reason. The disciplined person knows. Time resets chemistry. Breathe. Step back. Let the body settle. Then act from logic, not from panic. This is why the unbothered seem untouchable. They've trained their biology to serve their discipline. They delay the emotional surge until reason catches up. It's not magic. It's training. Anchoring practice, the 3-step reset. When you feel emotion rising, use this method. Breathe. Take one full inhale and exhale before speaking or moving. This interrupts impulse. Zoom out. Ask, will this matter in 1 week, 1 month, 1 year? Choose the response that keeps you in control. Every repetition of this practice rewires your instinct. You turn reaction into reflection, and reflection into mastery. You'll notice people around you begin to lose composure. And for the first time, you'll realize how rare control really is. The reward of restraint. There's a quiet satisfaction in not taking the bait, in staying calm when chaos wants a reaction, in holding peace when others expect explosion. That satisfaction is strength. It's the confidence that comes from knowing you are not ruled by emotion. You are ruled by intention. The more you delay, the more control you gain. The more control you gain, the less you fear. And the less you fear, the more unstoppable you become. Closing reflection for Chapter 3. Every reaction is a decision, a choice to trade control for impulse. But every delay is also a decision, a choice to trade emotion for wisdom. From this point forward, build this habit into your discipline. Breathe. Delay. Decide. When anger rises, delay. When fear whispers, delay. When doubt screams, delay. The delay doesn't make you weaker. It makes you dangerous in the best way. Calm, composed, unreadable, in control. Because emotional delay isn't just self-control, it's self-respect. And the person who respects their peace cannot be provoked. Chapter 4. Rejection is redirection, not ruin. Rejection is not the end. It's the correction. It's the universe, the mission, the momentum, realigning your path. You think you've lost something. You think you've failed. But what you lost was illusion. What ended was misalignment. The disciplined don't chase what rejects them. They study it. They learn from it. Then they move forward, quieter, sharper, stronger. Because rejection doesn't ruin the focused. It refines them. The reality of rejection. Rejection hurts. That's truth. But it's also information. It's feedback. It's direction. When something or someone rejects you, it's not punishment. It's data. It's telling you, this isn't the path that serves your highest purpose. Most people misread that data. They internalize rejection as identity. They say, I'm not good enough. But the disciplines say, that wasn't meant for me yet. They see rejection as refinement, a recalibration of timing and preparation. That's the difference between emotional collapse and emotional growth. The emotional cost of chasing closure. When you chase what rejected you, you lose your self-respect in pursuit of validation. You hand your worth to people who already said no. And in doing so, you reinforce their power in your pain. The disciplined don't beg for closure. They create it. They close the door themselves. They understand this truth. Anything that truly belongs to you will never need convincing. Let that repeat in your mind. Because the moment you stop chasing what rejected you, you start attracting what aligns with you. How rejection trains strength. Rejection trains emotional stability. It tests your attachment. It exposes where your identity still depends on outcome. Every no becomes a mirror, showing you what needs strengthening. Did you take it personally? Did you lose focus? Did you stop believing? Good. Now you see where your discipline is weak. Rejection is a teacher, not a thief. It removes illusions so that clarity can enter. Example: the successful who failed first. Look at any great achiever, athlete, creator, leader. Every one of them was rejected before being recognized. Not once, not twice, but repeatedly. But here's the difference. They didn't let rejection define their value. They used it to define their next move. They didn't see no as never. They saw it as not yet. That small shift in interpretation changes everything. Because when you see rejection as a filter, not a verdict, you stop doubting yourself and start improving yourself. The discipline of detachment. Rejection becomes ruin only when you attach your identity to the outcome. When you decide that being chosen means being worthy, that's where emotional instability begins. The disciplined detach from outcome. They give full effort and then release the result. They trust that what's meant for them will remain, and what isn't will reveal itself through rejection. That's peace. That's maturity. That's control. The redirection principle. Here's the truth most people avoid. Rejection is often protection. The job that didn't hire you is blocking burnout. The person who walked away was clearing room for someone aligned. The opportunity that slipped was saving you from distraction. You can't see it in the moment. Clarity comes later. But if you stay calm, patient, and focused, redirection becomes visible in hindsight. The disciplined don't ask, "Why did this happen to me?" They ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" That's how pain transforms into perspective. Anchoring practice, the redirection reframe. Whenever you face rejection, repeat this mental exercise. Detach. Remind yourself, my worth isn't measured by this moment. Extract. Ask, what can I learn from this? Skill gaps, timing, preparation. Redirect. Shift focus toward new execution, new opportunities, new alignment. Every repetition of this reframe strengthens emotional immunity. You become less reactive, more resilient, more focused on progress than approval. You start to see rejection as refinement, sharpening your direction, not stopping it. The unbothered approach to loss. You can't be unbothered and still be obsessed with being accepted. Acceptance feels nice, but it's not necessary. Because the disciplined know, peace doesn't come from being chosen. Peace comes from choosing yourself. When rejection happens, don't shrink. Refocus. Don't beg to be seen. Build something worth seeing. Your response to rejection defines your trajectory. Most quit, few rise, and those few move in silence until the world can't ignore them anymore. Closing reflection for Chapter 4. Rejection is not a wall. It's a mirror. It shows you where to grow, where to detach, where to elevate. From this moment forward, change your interpretation. Don't say, "I was rejected." Say, "I was redirected." Because what's not meant for you will fall away, and what is meant will always find you when you're ready. Repeat this anchor whenever disappointment hits. Rejection doesn't end me. It edits me. That's the mindset of the unbothered. That's the strength of the disciplined. And that's how you turn rejection into redirection every single time. Chapter 5. Protect your focus like it's oxygen. Focus is your most expensive asset. Not money, not time. Focus. Because where your focus goes, your energy follows. And where your energy flows, your reality grows. If your focus is scattered, your results will be too. If your focus is disciplined, your life will follow that order. The fragility of focus. Focus is fragile. Every notification steals a fraction of your potential. Every distraction drains unseen energy. Every unnecessary conversation steals minutes you'll never get back. Most people treat focus like it's free. The disciplined treat it like it's sacred. Because once your attention is hijacked, your momentum collapses. And regaining it takes longer than you think. You can't build empires with a distracted mind. You can't master yourself while being enslaved to noise. The economy of attention. You live in an economy that profits from your distraction. Every scroll, every click, every impulsive reaction. The system isn't broken, it's designed. Designed to drain your focus so you never have enough left to build something lasting. That's why protecting your focus isn't optional. It's survival. You must become ruthless about where your attention goes. Because attention is life force. And if you waste it, you weaken. Mental clarity through minimalism. Simplicity strengthens focus. Complexity fractures it. Too many goals, too many people, too many opinions. Focus thrives in silence and order. Chaos kills it. Declutter your environment. Declutter your social circle. Declutter your digital life. The more you remove, the more power you regain. Because clarity isn't found in adding more. It's found in removing what doesn't matter. Focus is a muscle. Focus isn't gifted. It's trained. And like any muscle, it grows through repetition and resistance. When you resist distraction, you build strength. When you delay gratification, you build endurance. When you sustain effort without validation, you build power. Every moment of self-control compounds. That's how the disciplined win, not through bursts of motivation, but through mastery of attention. The three enemies of focus. There are three enemies that destroy focus. Noise, constant input with no purpose. Negativity, emotional turbulence that clouds judgment. Numbness, overstimulation that kills awareness. You fight noise with silence. You fight negativity with purpose. You fight numbness with presence. That's the strategy of the disciplined mind. Calm, clear, centered. Guarding the gate. Your focus is a fortress, and not everyone deserves entry. People who drain your peace, block them. People who distract you with drama, distance them. People who mock your discipline, mute them. Because if someone doesn't respect your focus, they don't respect your mission. You don't owe everyone access to your energy. Access is earned through alignment. The ritual of recentering. Every day, perform the ritual of recentering. 5 minutes of silence before chaos begins. 5 deep breaths when stress spikes. 5 seconds of pause before reacting. These micro moments rebuild focus. They remind your mind that you're in control. Because focus is not about doing more. It's about directing power. You're not trying to fit everything in. You're trying to eliminate everything that doesn't belong. Protecting focus in relationships. Even good people can become distractions if you let them. You can love someone and still limit access to your energy. Because not everyone walks at your pace. Not everyone values silence. If they misunderstand your distance, let them. Your peace doesn't need permission. The disciplined don't explain focus. They embody it. They choose mission over validation, clarity over company. Focus is a spiritual practice. Focus is deeper than productivity. It's sacred. It's presence in motion. When you're fully focused, you are fully alive. You stop replaying the past. You stop fearing the future. You live in precision, the only place power exists. That's why the distracted are anxious and the focused are calm. Because one lives in fragments. The other lives in flow. Anchoring practice, the focus command. Whenever distraction creeps in, use this mental command. Return to presence. Say it softly. Say it often. Each repetition rewires your attention. Each reminder reclaims your power. Because the mind follows the words you feed it. If you train it to return, it will obey. Closing reflection for Chapter 5. Protect your focus like it's oxygen, because it is. Without it, your purpose suffocates. You can recover money. You can recover sleep. But you cannot recover wasted attention. So make your focus sacred. Silence the noise. Starve the distractions. Feed your mission. Because the one who controls their focus controls their future. Distraction is the death of progress. Focus is the birth of power. Chapter 6. Master your emotions, or they will master you. You are not your emotions. You are the observer of your emotions. That's the truth most people never learn. They live enslaved by how they feel, instead of guided by what they know. Emotional mastery doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means your feelings stop controlling you. Because until you master your emotions, they will dictate your life, your peace, and your power. The tyranny of emotion. Every weakness begins in emotion. Anger destroys reason. Fear paralyzes action. Ego blinds truth. When emotion drives your choices, chaos follows. When reason drives your choices, order returns. The disciplined mind never makes permanent decisions based on temporary feelings. Because emotion clouds judgment, and judgment shapes destiny. Your job isn't to suppress your emotions, it's to govern them. Like a ruler governs a kingdom. Firmly, fairly, unmoved by storms. The law of inner control. You can't control the world, but you can control your response to it. And that response, that space between trigger and reaction, is where freedom lives. When you expand that space, you expand your power. Every pause is a victory. Every calm response is a statement of strength. People will test you. Situations will provoke you. But your peace must be non-negotiable. Because the world doesn't take your power. You give it away when you react. The cost of reactivity. Think about it. How many times have you lost peace because you reacted too quickly? Said something you didn't mean? Made a move out of pride or pain? Reactivity is emotional poverty. It makes you impulsive, unstable, easy to manipulate. The disciplined are not reactive. They are responsive. They feel everything, but they act on principle, not impulse. That's what separates emotional children from emotional adults. Control, composure, clarity. Emotions are messengers, not masters. Your emotions are signals, not commands. They inform you, but they do not define you. Anger tells you where a boundary was crossed. Fear tells you where courage is needed. Sadness tells you what you value. But if you obey every emotion blindly, you live in chaos. If you listen with awareness, you gain wisdom. That's the discipline, to feel deeply, but remain unshaken. Detachment is strength. Emotional detachment doesn't mean apathy. It means balance. It means you don't chase highs or drown in lows. You stay centered, neutral, unbothered. When you detach from outcomes, you become immune to manipulation. When you detach from approval, you become free. Detachment is emotional armor. It doesn't harden you. It protects your peace. The strong don't suppress emotion. They outgrow its control. Stoic response training. Practice this. When provoked, pause. When insulted, observe. When overwhelmed, breathe. You are not the storm. You are the sky. The storm will pass. The sky remains. Each time you choose calm over chaos, you strengthen your emotional muscle. Each time you refuse to react, you reclaim control. That's how power is built, silently, repeatedly, in moments no one sees. The mirror of self-awareness. You cannot master what you refuse to see. So observe your emotional patterns. What triggers you? What drains you? What steals your peace? Awareness breaks the chain of reactivity. Because once you can name your emotion, it loses power over you. Emotion thrives in confusion. Clarity kills it. Be honest with yourself. Emotional mastery begins with radical self-awareness. Emotional energy management. Emotions are energy, and energy can be redirected. Anger can fuel discipline. Fear can sharpen focus. Pain can deepen compassion. Don't waste emotion, channel it. Turn reaction into reflection. Turn feeling into fuel. Every emotion has potential if you master its direction. Silence, the ultimate emotional control. Silence is your weapon. Not every emotion deserves expression. Not every thought deserves a voice. When you're silent, you give yourself time to think. When you're silent, you maintain mystery and power. People expect reaction. Silence disarms them. It confuses the emotional and empowers the disciplined. You don't win arguments with emotion. You win through composure. Because silence speaks louder than anger ever could. The calm within chaos. The true test of emotional mastery isn't when life is peaceful. It's when everything's falling apart. When you can remain calm while the world burns, you've reached strength few achieve. Peace isn't found in the absence of storms. It's found in your ability to stand still within them. When others lose control, you will remain composed. When others react, you will respond. When others fall apart, you will rise. That's emotional power. That's quiet dominance. Closing reflection for Chapter 6. Master your emotions, or they will master you. You cannot be free if you are a slave to reaction. You cannot be wise if you are ruled by impulse. Feel deeply, but stand tall. Observe, but don't absorb. Respond, but never react. Your strength lies in composure. Your peace is your proof. The world respects the one who cannot be provoked, because that person has mastered the rarest art of all, the art of emotional control. The strong remain calm. The weak remain reactive. Choose your side. Chapter 7. The power of moving in silence. Power doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need to. The loud seek attention. The silent seek results. Moving in silence isn't about secrecy. It's about strength. It's the decision to let progress speak louder than words ever could. When you move in silence, you confuse the noise, protect your energy, and build momentum without interference. That's how the disciplined rise, quietly, deliberately, relentlessly. Noise is the enemy of progress. The world rewards noise. Everyone's talking, posting, proving. But noise doesn't build discipline, it destroys it. Because every word you speak about what you'll do weakens your commitment to actually doing it. Silence preserves power. Every time you talk instead of act, you leak energy. Every time you boast before building, you trade progress for validation. The disciplined don't broadcast their plans, they execute them. They understand this truth. You can't chase both attention and greatness. The law of private progress. Your most powerful work happens in private, not when people are watching, not when applause is available, but when no one cares except you. That's where transformation happens. In the dark, in the quiet, in the grind that nobody posts about. Because public victories are born from private disciplines. The gym at 5 a.m., the reading at midnight, the decision to keep going when no one notices. When you move in silence, you build an unshakable foundation. The weak crave validation. People who talk too much about their goals aren't confident. They're uncertain. They seek reassurance instead of results. Validation is emotional currency, but discipline is internal wealth. You must choose what you value more, being seen or being solid. The loud demand recognition. The silent demand results. Let them underestimate you. Let them think you're inactive. By the time they realize what you've built, it will already be too late to stop you. The psychology of secrecy. There's a psychological edge to silence. When you speak less, you become unpredictable. And unpredictability is power. It keeps people guessing. It keeps enemies cautious. It keeps your peace untouched. The more they know about your moves, the more they can manipulate them. That's why silence is strategy. It's emotional and tactical control combined. You don't owe explanations. You owe yourself protection. Building in silence, emerging in power. Every great transformation happens quietly. Seeds grow underground before they rise. The disciplined build foundations before showing results. Don't rush to be seen. Rush to be ready. Let your consistency be invisible. Let your preparation be private. Because when the time comes, you won't need to announce success. Success will announce you. Moving in silence isn't hiding. It's refining, guarding your intentions. Not everyone deserves to know your goals. Not everyone can handle your growth. People project their limits onto what you're building. They'll doubt what they can't do themselves. That's why you protect your intentions like treasure. Because when you expose your vision too early, you invite interference. Guard your plans until they're strong enough to stand without defense. Protect your purpose until it's too powerful to be broken. The peace of privacy. Privacy is peace, and peace is power. The more you share, the more energy you scatter. The more you keep, the more focus you maintain. A disciplined life is a private life, not because you're secretive, but because you're selective. You choose silence because peace is louder than drama. You choose discretion because control is quieter than chaos. The world doesn't need to know what you're doing. Only you do. Silence builds confidence. Silence isn't weakness. It's confidence in motion. It's knowing you don't have to prove what's already true. When you move in silence, you become self-contained, unmoved by applause, unaffected by criticism. Confidence grows when you stop performing and start producing. And when you produce long enough, the results speak for themselves. Your silence becomes your statement. Your work becomes your voice. The Stoic standard. The Stoics lived by a principle. Speak less. Do more. They believed restraint was strength. That talking too much revealed a lack of control. Apply that today. You don't need to announce your goals. You don't need to prove your worth. You just need to stay consistent. Because the strongest people rarely explain, they demonstrate. That's the Stoic standard. Quiet power, consistent execution, calm dominance. Closing reflection for Chapter 7. Move in silence. Work in silence. Grow in silence. Because silence protects you. Silence matures you. Silence multiplies you. Don't tell the world what you're building. Let the results speak. Don't beg for recognition. Let your progress demand it. Remember, noise is insecurity. Silence is strength. So walk quietly. Build patiently. Rise powerfully. The loud start fast. The silent finish strong. Chapter 8. The Price of Consistency. Everyone wants success. Few are willing to pay its true price, consistency. Because consistency is not exciting. It's not glamorous. It's not instant. It's repetition. It's discipline. It's showing up when no one notices and doing it again when no one cares. Consistency isn't a talent. It's a sacrifice. And most people quit before they ever get to see what they were capable of. The illusion of motivation. Motivation feels powerful, but it's temporary. It burns bright and fades fast. The disciplined don't rely on motivation. They rely on structure. Because motivation starts action, but consistency sustains it. Every time you act without motivation, you build mental muscle. Every time you follow through despite emotion, you fortify discipline. That's how you become unstoppable, not by feeling ready, but by doing it anyway. The boredom barrier. The truth is, mastery is repetitive. The greats live inside routine. They practice the same moves, read the same lessons, refine the same process, again and again. And that's what most people can't stand. Boredom breaks the weak, but it builds the disciplined. Consistency isn't about excitement. It's about endurance. Because real progress feels ordinary until it suddenly becomes extraordinary. The emotional cost. Consistency costs your comfort. It demands sacrifice. It requires doing what you don't feel like doing again and again. The weak chase variety. The strong embrace monotony. Every time you conquer the urge to quit, you strengthen your identity. Because consistency doesn't just shape your results, it shapes who you become. When you stay consistent, even when emotions fluctuate, you become reliable to yourself. That's self-respect in motion. Consistency versus intensity. Anyone can go hard once. Few could go steady forever. Intensity impresses people. Consistency transforms you. Intensity is ego. Consistency is discipline. You don't need to do more. You need to do it longer. You don't need to move faster. You need to move consistently. Because long-term power is built through small, repetitive, disciplined effort. That's the quiet formula of all greatness. The invisible work. The world sees results, not repetitions. But repetition is where the real work happens. The early mornings, the quiet nights, the days that blur together because you're too focused on becoming better. Consistency happens when nobody claps. It's what separates the dreamers from the doers. The loud seek credit. The consistent seek mastery. And in the end, mastery always wins. Resistance and reward. Consistency will test you. You'll face boredom, doubt, and fatigue. You'll question if it's working. But that resistance is the proof of growth. The more you want to stop, the more important it is to continue. Because each day of discipline compounds. Each repetition stacks. And over time, it becomes unstoppable momentum. The results will come, but only after the test of time has filtered out the undisciplined. The law of identity. The consistent don't just do, they become. Consistency rewires your identity. When you show up daily, you stop trying to be disciplined. You are disciplined. It's no longer effort. It's who you are. That's why missing one day matters. Because every act of inconsistency trains your mind to accept weakness. The disciplined keep promises to themselves. Not because it's easy, but because it's sacred. Consistency in silence. Consistency doesn't seek validation. It thrives in quiet. You don't need to post your progress. You need to protect it. Because every time you seek external approval, you weaken your internal drive. The disciplined understand. The reward isn't applause. It's growth. It's peace. It's mastery. Consistency is devotion. Private, patient, powerful devotion. The compound effect of effort. Tiny efforts repeated daily build unbreakable results. Small habits. Simple actions. Done over and over again. The world looks for miracles. The disciplined build them, one repetition at a time. Consistency compounds faster than talent, luck, or motivation, because time rewards the one who refuses to quit. That's how empires are built, not in one grand act, but in 1,000 disciplined moments. Closing reflection for Chapter 8. The price of consistency is boredom, fatigue, and repetition. The reward is power, peace, and purpose. Most won't pay the price. They want the outcome without the discipline. But that's not how greatness works. You want results? Then earn them daily. Show up when no one claps. Work when no one watches. Stay steady when no one believes. Because one day, your consistency will speak for you. And when it does, it will say everything your words never could. Consistency is the proof of discipline. Discipline is the proof of strength. Chapter 9. Emotional detachment is power. Detachment is not weakness. It's power. It's not coldness. It's control. Because when you detach emotionally, you stop being a slave to outcomes. You stop being controlled by opinions. You stop giving your peace to people who haven't earned it. Emotional detachment is not about not caring. It's about caring selectively, with precision and purpose. That's strength. That's power. That's freedom. The myth of caring too much. They'll tell you that to care is to feel everything deeply. But the truth is, if you feel everything, you control nothing. The world praises emotional intensity, but it destroys emotional clarity. Because when you care too much about everything, you stop caring about the right things. You don't need to harden your heart. You need to discipline it. Detach from what doesn't serve you. Focus on what actually matters. That's how peace begins. Attachment is emotional slavery. Attachment is dependency. It's the illusion that your peace depends on something outside of you. That person, that outcome, that validation. The moment your happiness depends on anything external, you've handed away your power. You can love someone and still remain detached. You can pursue goals without being addicted to results. Because real power comes from stability, not attachment. Emotional detachment versus indifference. Detachment is not indifference. It's awareness. Indifference feels nothing. Detachment feels everything, but chooses what to act on. You still love. You still care. But you don't drown in it. You don't lose yourself in it. The emotionally detached person sees clearly. They act from reason, not reaction. They operate from balance, not chaos. That's not cold. That's composed. The freedom of not needing. Most people live in emotional need. They need to be liked. They need to be validated. They need to be understood. But the more you need, the less you are free. Detachment breaks that chain. It teaches you how to operate from fullness, not lack. You don't chase what you already contain. When you master detachment, you become the source, not the seeker. The art of letting go. Detachment means letting go, not because you're weak, but because you're wise. You understand that clinging creates suffering. You understand that not everything or everyone is meant to stay. People come. Opportunities pass. Seasons change. Letting go is not loss. It's alignment. It's removing what blocks your peace so your purpose can breathe again. You cannot grasp growth with a closed hand. The comma perspective. Emotional detachment expands your perspective. When you stop reacting, you start seeing clearly. Most people live too close to their emotions to see reality. They confuse feelings with facts. But when you detach, you create distance, and distance brings clarity. You start recognizing patterns. You stop taking things personally. You realize that not everything requires a reaction. That's how you win, not through emotion, but through understanding. Detachment in relationships. You can love deeply and still be detached. Because love with attachment is possession. Love with detachment is freedom. Attachment says, I need you. Detachment says, I choose you. Attachment fears loss. Detachment respects change. The disciplined love calmly, without control, without fear. They know that real connection doesn't come from clinging. It comes from presence. That's emotional maturity. Detachment from outcomes. Detach from outcomes, not from effort. Work hard, but don't worship results. Because obsession with outcomes breeds anxiety, and detachment breeds peace. Do the work. Stay steady. Release control. Once you've done your part, let go. Because peace begins where control ends. You can't force what's not meant for you, but you can prepare for what is. The discipline of emotional distance. Emotional detachment requires practice. It's not a single decision. It's a daily discipline. You train it through silence, observation, and response control. You build it through boundaries, stillness, and reflection. When people provoke you, observe, don't react. When situations disappoint you, accept, don't resist. When emotions rise, breathe, don't speak. Every pause is a victory. Every detachment is strength earned. The power in stillness. Emotional detachment is stillness under fire. It's calm in chaos. It's silence in provocation. You no longer chase closure. You no longer argue to be understood. You simply observe, learn, and move on. That's the mark of emotional intelligence, restraint. That's the posture of power, composure. You become untouchable, not because nothing affects you, but because nothing controls you. Closing reflection for Chapter 9. Detach. Observe. Breathe. Release. Stop clinging to what's leaving. Stop begging for what's breaking. Stop fighting for what's finished. Your peace is not found in control. It's found in surrender. Your strength is not in reaction. It's in restraint. You cannot master life until you master detachment. You cannot walk freely while chained to outcomes. So let go. Let peace return. And remember, the one who feels everything is weak. The one who controls what they feel is powerful. Chapter 10. Discipline is freedom. You want peace? You want clarity? You want power? Then stop chasing motivation and start mastering discipline. Because the truth is simple. Discipline is freedom. Not comfort, not control, not perfection. Freedom. The paradox of freedom. Most people want freedom without structure. They want peace without order. They want results without repetition. But real freedom doesn't come from doing what you want. It comes from doing what's required consistently. Discipline is not a cage. It's the door key. It frees you from laziness. It frees you from confusion. It frees you from regret. You think rules restrict you, but rules refine you. Structure strengthens you. The disciplined are not limited. They are liberated. Motivation is fleeting. Discipline is final. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is fire. Motivation fades the moment it's inconvenient. Discipline grows when it hurts. When you rely on feelings, you stay stuck. When you rely on standards, you stay consistent. Every disciplined person has learned this truth. If you only act when it feels right, you'll rarely act at all. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. It demands what must be done. That's the path to greatness. Steady, quiet, unwavering. The weight of excuses. Excuses sound smart until results arrive. They feel justified until regret shows up. Excuses are emotional comfort. Discipline is logical clarity. Every time you choose the easy way, you build weakness. Every time you choose the hard way, you build character. Weak people chase comfort. Strong people chase growth. And growth never feels good in the moment, but always feels right in the end. Routine is rebellion. In a distracted world, routine is rebellion. Consistency is defiance. Structure is power, because the world is loud. It wants you impulsive. It wants you reactive. It wants you addicted to distraction. But the disciplined? They move differently. They wake up on purpose. They work on schedule. They think before reacting. Every routine is a declaration. I control me. The silent confidence of consistency. Confidence doesn't come from hype. It comes from evidence, the quiet kind. The evidence of showing up every day. The evidence of keeping promises to yourself. The evidence of doing what others avoid. That's why disciplined people don't brag. They don't announce their grind. They embody it. They carry silent confidence. Not because they're special, but because they've earned self-respect through consistency. That's freedom. Discipline and desire. Desire screams. Discipline whispers. Desire wants pleasure now. Discipline waits for meaning later. Discipline is the mature form of desire. Desire that has evolved. Desire says, I want it. Discipline says, I'll build it. You will never rise above your standards. So raise them. Enforce them. Protect them. Freedom begins the day you stop negotiating with your weaknesses. The calm within effort. Discipline is not aggression. It's serenity. It's the ability to act without rush, to progress without panic. You move at your own pace, steadily, deliberately, unshaken. The undisciplined are always frantic. They chase everything and catch nothing. But disciplined people, they are calm. They are precise. They are patient because they understand. Slow is smooth and smooth becomes fast. That's why discipline looks quiet, but feels unstoppable. Discipline in solitude. Discipline thrives in silence because true growth happens when no one is watching. When a room is quiet, when there's no applause, when it's just you versus your own resistance. That's where you build muscle, mind, and mastery. Most quit there, but not you, because you understand that solitude sharpens you, and silence tests your sincerity. If you can stay consistent when no one sees, you're already ahead of everyone who performs for attention. Discipline and detachment. Detachment and discipline walk hand in hand. Detachment keeps your emotions in check. Discipline keeps your actions aligned. Detachment removes the noise. Discipline creates the rhythm. Detachment helps you stay calm. Discipline helps you stay consistent. Together, they build resilience. When you master both, you become unstoppable, emotionally and mentally. You no longer react to life. You respond to it with clarity and conviction. That's unshakable peace. Freedom through self-control. The real enemy has never been the world. It's always been the self. Your impulses, your comfort, your distractions. Discipline is how you defeat them daily. Because when you control yourself, nothing else can control you. Not your past, not your emotions, not your fears. That's the truest form of freedom there is. The freedom of complete self-command. You stop living in reaction. You start living in direction. That's discipline. That's freedom. That's peace. Final reflection, the discipline creed. Wake up early. Move with intention. Speak less. Observe more. Act, don't announce. Detach from distractions. Build what others only wish for. And remember, the world doesn't belong to the motivated. It belongs to the disciplined. Motivation fades. Discipline remains. Because in the end, it's simple. The disciplined are free. The undisciplined are bound. And every decision you make, today, tomorrow, forever, will choose which one you become. Closing monologue, the discipline to stay unbothered. You've reached the end of this book, but the work begins now. Everything you heard, everything you felt, means nothing unless you live it. Discipline is not a mood. It's not excitement. It's not inspiration. It's command over your mind, over your emotions, over your reactions. The disciplined don't need to prove. They don't need to rush. They move through noise with silence, through chaos with order, through pressure with presence. So, from this moment forward, control what you can, ignore what you can't. Speak less, react slower, work quietly, and build relentlessly. Every morning is a test of your discipline. Every distraction is a chance to prove your control. Every emotion is an invitation to stay unbothered. Because this is how you win, not once, but every day, with calm, with focus, with unshakable discipline. Now go. Be the example of what self-control looks like in a world that's lost it. Stay unbothered and stay free.